Welcome into a Monday morning edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered here by Go Chevrolet. Check our friends out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. We appreciate you starting your Monday morning and this week off with us. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button, as we'll be here with you up until about 9 a.m. this morning. We will talk to Sammy Spiegelman from On3. He'll be here at 8:15 this morning. We will talk to Spiegs about the impact over the weekend of Shelton Sampson, recruited and committed to LSU, in the week ahead, which could be an enormous week for LSU. Ricky Collins announced last night that he is going to make his commitment coming up on Wednesday, and we are in talks right now. We will have it confirmed here this afternoon. Looks like he's going to do it right here on the show Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. After the huge success this weekend that was Shelton Sampson's commitment.
So in love with the Jordy Culotta Show.
At Catholic High School.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Great for all the feedback. Great to have everybody along watching on Saturday. But to start off, in all honesty, congratulations to Shelton Sampson, to his family, to Whitney Bro, the entire team over there that helped us get set up. Look, the production was not as we expected. We were really lucky to get that thing off the ground and get it into your living room and get it into your home and get it to your phone. And we got some work to do coming up on the next one, and we will make sure that that is made before we have the announcement. It looks like we will have Ricky Collins' announcement on Wednesday night coming up here at 7 o'clock. We will have all of the details of that confirmed today, and we'll have a press release that goes out this afternoon, just kind of giving you an idea of where you can catch it and where you can tune into it. Also, you'll have an opportunity to come in live for that announcement once we have it confirmed on where we're going to do that at. But first and foremost, for LSU, what an enormous snag for Brian Kelly and Cortez Hankton, Mike Denbrock, and the entire offensive group for LSU football. It's the second five-star wide receiver that you've put into this recruiting class, which has just become electric here over the last month. There were recruiting concerns, and I know that right now the thought Brian Kelly couldn't recruit is really kind of flying all over the place because of the success that Kelly is having right now. But for them to pick up Shelton Sampson, this was, out of the Louisiana guys, the absolute must-get on the board, in my opinion. I still think that there are some guys like Zalance Hurd that you got to make sure and get. And I would put Zalance Hurd probably in the same breath as I do with a guy like Shelton Sampson, in the sense of, look, they're at need positions and they're big-time playmakers in your backyard, and you got to get those guys. Hurd, obviously, on the offensive line, and he's an impact guy that can come in and help you from day one. But Shelton Sampson, if, by just the pure vitals of Sampson, he is a must-get. He's 6'5", 195 pounds, and runs 4.32 and jumps 42 inches. I mean, that is freakish NBA lottery pick type athleticism, where, I mean, the way that the story goes on Shelton Sampson, and Gabe Fertitta, who did an incredible job having a chance to speak to the Sampsons and speak to some people behind the scenes of Shelton's recruiting throughout the weekend. Florida State did an incredible job of making themselves a true competitor in this recruitment, and really was a very close second place is what I take away from it after hearing some of the feedback. I do feel like it's over. I do feel like it's going to be LSU, but I don't think that Fertitta, David Johnson, Florida State, Norvell, and the crew are going to give up by any means, because of how close it seems like they have made this recruiting. But 2.5 years, nearly 2 years to the day, Gabe Fertitta was the head coach 2 years ago to the day. Gabe Fertitta was the head coach at Catholic High, had a tremendous run. It was in the middle of COVID, and his roster was dripping with talent, right? I mean, there was so much talent on the Catholic High roster that he wanted a way to be able to show that off to college coaches who had canceled their on-campus camps and not given prospects an opportunity to get, to university campuses and work out in front of coaching staffs. All of the recruiting, all of the what goes into recruiting no longer existed. It was very much up in the air and very questioned on what the future of recruiting was going to be. So he held a quasi pro day, test day on the campus of Catholic High School 2 years ago. And Shelton Sampson clocked a 4.3 at that event where it was the Catholic High coaching staff and I believe like 10 dads on the team were like helping with the testing. It was a very organically done by Fertitta, but it just in the vein of trying to get exposure for his roster. Well, within minutes of Sampson's news of what he had accomplished, just a couple of blocks from our studio, right here in the heart of Mid-City Baton Rouge, offers are coming in from all over the country. The first to offer was the University of Virginia with Jordan Arcemont, who was on staff there, had some Louisiana connections. Ken Anno, who is Shelton Sampson's 7-on-7 coach, very tight with the Sampson family, really at that time was kind of in a leadership role of, kind of handling the recruiting for Sampson, or at least just kind of getting it off the ground when people that were trying to get in touch with Sampson early on were going through Ken. They were going through his 7-on-7 guy because he seemed like he was, kind of the closest to him and knew him the best. And once the Virginia offer came in, I mean, it was a flurry of offers of, Tulane's, Louisiana Tech's, Texas Tech's, and then once the video got out of his vertical leap and him running that 40-yard dash, it became LSU, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Texas A&M, Tennessee. I mean, this is all as a sophomore wide receiver at Catholic High. And since then, he's been able to get 5 stars and has gone on to become a superstar for Catholic High. But the reason, moreover, that you had to get Shelton Sampson, even stacked up next to Arch Manning, Eli Holstein, Jaden Alsbury, Tackett Curtis, all these guys from the state of Louisiana that are on the board that, sure, you'd love for them to consider LSU, but it never felt like they were really going to have LSU in play once signing day showed up, right? Sampson was different in the sense of, we rattle off some of the wide receivers that's come out of the state of Louisiana that's been drafted over the last 12 years. And Shea Dixon, who, in between jobs right now, comes in here on Wednesdays and helps us out. He was over at Shelton's commitment on Saturday over at Catholic High, and then following the commitment put out a tweet, which I think explains it pretty clearly. And Dixon tweeted, "Why do I think Baton Rouge wide receiver Shelton Sampson was a must-get for LSU? Here's the wide receivers drafted out of LSU the past 12 years. Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Racy McMath, Justin Jefferson, Russell Gage, DJ Chark, Malachi Dupree, James Wright, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, and Reuben Randall. What's the one common denominator that all those guys have? They're from the state. They're from Louisiana. So if there's one position that you have to corner if you're LSU because of the proven track record of that spot and of those athletes to get to the next level, it's at wideout. And Sampson seems as sure as a bet as any of those guys coming in here to come in, have a 3 to 4 year explosive college run and set himself up to be a high NFL draft pick once his college career is over. So it's a huge get for Kelly, Hankton, Denbrock, the offensive staff, to be able to have Shelton Sampson in the boat going into his senior season alongside a class that is fastly becoming a top 5 class in America. I think I saw it number 6 of Go 247, or 247 had them ranked nationally number 6 after some of the work that they had done here lately in recruiting. And I think, it seems like things are trending in the right direction for Ricky Collins come Wednesday night. I mean, we'll have to wait to find out, but when he decommitted from Purdue a couple of weeks back, when you've heard the news and just kind of the underground rumblings of what's going on between LSU, Joe Sloan, Denbrock, and the priority that they have made Ricky Collins over the last, couple of months, and to see Collins ready to make that announcement, it feels like LSU has a really good chance to win out on this thing on Wednesday night. Collins was in attendance on Saturday alongside Jordan Matthews, alongside Jaden Ausberry. I mean, it was a who's who of recruiting here locally in town that was over at Catholic High. It was also very cool to see the turnout. I had no idea. I mean, I thought when Saturday 3 o'clock was put on the docket, I said, man, you'll probably be lucky to get 20, 25 people in the gym. I mean, you looked up.
It's like a school day.
I mean, it was
like an assembly.
It was an incredible turnout and support for LaToya Sampson, Shelton Sampson Jr., and just what the community and the relationship that they have with them. It was cool to be a part of that. It was cool to be inside of that setting. It was a lot of good vibes for LSU as Shelton Sampson pledged his commitment to LSU over the weekend. We'll talk to Sam Spiegelman about Sampson and some of the other players on the board for LSU coming up here before we get out of here at 9 a.m. Spiegelman will be here at 8:15. If you have a recruiting question for Sammy, get inside of the chat, hashtag #AskSpiegs, and we'll get it to him at 8:15 this morning. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by Fresh Chef Kitchen. All the meals are bulk items and prepared fresh each week, specifically for each individual's order over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. They drop off every Monday over here at the FM Digital Media Studios. Help us out with breakfast, lunch, dinner. We were out at their storefront the other day over on Airline Highway. They got freezers full of fresh food. If you want to walk in, you can go see Chef Shane and the crew over there on Airline Highway. They do have a promo code, and that's Jordy10 if you're a first-time customer, and you can save yourself 10% off your initial orders over there from Fresh Chef Kitchen. Use the promo code Jordy10 to save yourself 10% over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. So not only is recruiting in fast speed right now, fall camp is also starting to hit a little grease here as they're getting into some of the days of fall camp leading into the opener. We'll be over there at 9:45 this morning. I believe Stewie and Noah and the crew will be taking off over there to cover fall camp to give us the latest on what's going on with LSU. But some of the news that popped over the weekend from the practice field is that B.J. Ojulari was rewarded number 18. This is something I can get behind. I love the fact when you give a playmaker a number. Look, I'm not big on the numbers at LSU. I've said time and time again I would flush it with Brian Kelly coming in here with the new coaching regime, but they kept and decided to keep it moving. It's fine, man. It's not that big of a deal to me. But I mean, if I had my way, I wouldn't get all worked up over a number at a school and a program like LSU. They do it. It's, you embrace it. Kayshon Boutte is going to be number 7, and B.J. Ojulari is going to be number 18. If you've got numbers in the program that mean something, that have historical reference to the program and what it means on the field, I love the fact that it's 2 of your best players. Might be your 2 best players. I mean, it could be. When you look at NFL mock drafts, I know that Ojulari and Boutte have consistently been the ones that have littered the first round by all of these services and individuals that put out their mock drafts during this part of the football season to try and get you talking and trying to get you clicking on some football news. But, Ojulari, the football player, I think we all know, is a standout, and we've seen him. We've gotten a chance to get to know Ojulari, the person, really over the last year. We signed an NIL deal with him and Kayshon last year in the first season of the Jordy Culotta show, and it was awesome. They'd come on every Sunday night and kind of recap the weekend and give a look to the week ahead. And, BJ was the guy that would come by and sign some pictures for some clients, but he would also kind of sit down, hang out, and give you some insight on who he was and, what was going on. And very likable dude, man. I mean, very soft-spoken and humble off the field. Very responsible in the sense of whatever he says, whatever he tells you he's going to do, it gets done. Very impressive of getting to know Ojulari just a little bit. Not by any means are we in text chains or, hanging out with one another in during the holidays. But, he's been over to the studio countless amount of times to come and help us out with some of the things that we had going on with some client relationships or even over here just to kind of hang out and give us some interviews anytime that we've asked him for any type of access. He's been phenomenal with providing that. If he couldn't, he's always been upfront and honest about things that he had going on. Just a very likable individual. And the sense that we've always gotten, right, for the numbers at LSU between 7 and 18. 7 always, felt like the playmaker. 18 always felt like the good guy. And sometimes you would get the Jacob Hesters and the Benny Logans and the guys that would stand out as number 18. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot along the way. Richard Dixon, Brandon Taylor. There is
Lloyd Cushenberry.
The names are obviously there of guys that stand out, but Ojulari feels different. Did Calebon wear 18?
Yeah, Calebon.
Yeah, Calebon feels a little bit like B.J. Ojulari, where you got a big-time playmaker wearing this number.
Trey White.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trey White wore it for 2 years.
2 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's a fraternity that's kind of sneaky.
Mm-hmm. Sneaky
right?
Cool fraternity, too.
Yeah, it's sneaky good. Me and Hester used to always go
pound for pound for 7 and 18.
Just kind of back and forth on 7 and 18.
You saw who was there with the 18 jersey they handed out. He's the gatekeeper.
Oh, no doubt.
Hester.
No doubt. That's why I would always be talking about the president of it, right? Always how much cooler 7 was than 18. But once you dig into 18, you're kind of like,
it's pretty cool.
Okay.
He's got some merit to it for sure.
Calebon and Brandon Taylor. I forgot about those guys.
Trey White. Yeah. Some dogs.
Matt Malk is where it all started. He passed it down to Hester. Hester wore it for a couple of years, and then Richard Dixon wore it for a couple of seasons. Can you where do you fall out of line
there.
at 18?
Yeah. That's where it
all
falls
right,
off.
Pull it up.
I'm cooked.
Pull it up. Because I can get 7, right?
Yeah,
I can rattle off the 7s. Even throw in the Jonathan Giles when they yanked it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ugh.
Let me see how far I can get between.
Look good in the 7 though.
He did. He looked good at Texas Tech too. I don't know what happened.
Couldn't play. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a different.
Damone Clark.
It's a different animal over here. All right, hold up. All right, you got them all pulled up?
No, I don't. I'm trying to find him.
You talking about 7 or 18?
18.
18.
You think they would have like a list as much as this thing is?
I would just go to the LSUsports.net.
Yeah.
There's got to have. With the BJ being rewarded 18, I'd imagine they'd have a list somewhere.
A laundry list of how many has there been? Do you think?
Since Malk?
Since Malk, so it starts in
04, 03.
02. So you got to rattle off.
So Malk
18 players.
Malk. Well, some people wore it for multiple years.
Multiple years.
Where was Richard Murphy at? Was Richard Murphy in between Dixon and Hester, or was? Because Richard Murphy wore it for a year.
Might have been in between Hester and.
Yeah, they don't have the full list on here.
Really?
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
You got it? You got it?
Go. Start with Matt Malk.
All right, Matt Malk, Jacob Hester, Richard Dixon.
Yes.
Richard Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I give you the year, would that help?
Linebacker Lamine Barrow.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Where are we?
2011.
2011. 2011 was the national championship team. Brandon Taylor.
Yep. 2012.
2012. Was it Lamine Barrow?
No.
No. 2012 was Benny Logan.
Benny Logan. 2013.
2013, Lamine Barrow.
2014.
2014.
Mr. Do-It-All.
Mr. Do-It-All is...
Threw a little bit. Played quarterback in high school. Played running back here.
Terrence McGee.
Yep.
Terrence McGee.
2015 and 2016.
Trey White.
2017. This is a tough one.
Ooh,
Same position as Richard Dixon.
Same position. as Ricky Dickens.
John David Moore.
Wow. Good
Nice.
pull.
Good pull.
Stuart.
And this is the first
Yeah,
year
they went two.
Yes.
So they promised it to Christian Lacouture to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a coup.
That's what they did. That's what they had two.
And
That's what
then
they had two.
2018.
2018 is that Chris Curry?
No. Ooh.
2018.
That's a little bit down the list. 2018, same place, same position as JD Moore.
Same position as JD Moore. Oh, another fullback.
No, tight end.
Tight end?
It wasn't Foster. It was Foster.
Uh-huh.
It was Foster.
Foster Moore?
Foster
yeah.
was 18. Right?
And then 2019, we know.
Kayshon.
2019 was Caleb
And
was
Christian Berry got the patch.
Christian Berry got the patch.
And then you got to Chris Curry, and then 2020, 2021, sat right there. Got drafted by the Cowboys.
No, Damone.
Damone Clark.
Oh, yeah, he did wear it for 2 years, huh?
And then
DJ
they did another one that year. Specialist.
Avery Atkins.
Yeah.
Really?
And then this year's BJ Ojulari. Pretty good. Combined.
Well, that's a good
Passing
team.
y'all passed the test.
It's a little squad.
We could have stayed here all day on JD Moore. I'd never pulled
Yeah,
it.
me either.
Great pull.
That was the one I looked at, and I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to get it. No offense
Great
to
pull.
him.
No,
but-
none at all. And I hate that I forgot Terrence McGee.
Yeah. Terrence McGee was a sneaky,
Dog.
sneaky
Dog.
good.
Yeah.
Like
Killer in high school.
Loved him.
Killer in high school.
I could see why. And
Killer.
how. Franklinton, right?
Franklinton. His team was, I want to say they won a state title.
Wow.
I want to say that Franklinton team, they had a couple of D1 players on that squad that were pretty good.
That's where everybody thinks I'm from. Franklinton.
Yeah, no doubt. Same with Hanning. That's what happens to Hanning. And then, look, some other LSU football news that cracked over the weekend. So, BJ gets number 18. Shelton Sampson is recruited back to the program. And Kayshon gives a pretty extensive interview for the first time since being back, since being healthy, and was really kind of opening up about things in the offseason. And there was a lot of surprise, and my text messages were blowing up on Saturday. Did you see what Kayshon said? Did you hear about what Kayshon said? I was like, we were talking about this. Wasn't everybody talking about this? Like, I mean, this was the reason why Gordon McKernan had to step up to the
dunk
plate.
blind.
Yeah, I mean, like, this was the huge deal back in Christmas when people were blowing up Gordon McKernan on, like, hey, man, can you help us out? Can you get a deal done for Kayshon? Kayshon's going to end up at Alabama. I mean, that stuff was
Real.
so real. I mean, like, we saw Bryce Young at SEC Media Days, and he was in between rooms, and we asked him a couple of questions about guys like Aaron Anderson. I think I sent the video over of asking him about Shaz. But he was sitting down on the couch at one point and said, when's the last time you talked to Kayshon? He's like, I'm talking to Kayshon right now. You know what I mean? He's like, I've been, talking to Kayshon. I said, how close did he come to Alabama? He's like, bro, I mean, we thought it was done.
Gone.
I mean, Alabama side thought it was happening. Like, it was almost a foregone conclusion that Kayshon was going to team up with Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy quarterback. Jamison Williams was moving on to the draft. He was going to be wide receiver 1.
They had just plugged Eli Ricks, so the precedent was there.
Right. I mean, it was.
So do you think that they just never really took what the report, I guess, that we put out there, that you put out there, they're like, that just can't be true?
I mean, we asked him right here the day that he was 7 when he was like, I'm all locked in. Like, don't read everything I'm all locked in. Like, I mean, like, that was that was like
him answering.
Like saying like, I'm now over it. But I mean, at one point, that stuff was
so real.
Oh, it was done. It was a done deal that he was going to leave. And I think this is another coup and early win, obviously. And this is, this is a huge understatement, but just in the sense of where you are now, win for Brian Kelly without even, really. I mean, Kelly hadn't even had his feet underneath him yet when this stuff is circling and when this stuff's happening. LSU was so vulnerable at that time. They were so exposed Their roster was exposed. They didn't have any formation of an NIL deal. They didn't have any type of leadership from within that was, giving any direction on what was coming, what was going to happen. So, I mean, it was open season on LSU's roster where people were saying, hey, forget all the rules, man. Call their best players. Call Eli Ricks. Call Kayshon. Call all of them. I mean, BJ's phone was blowing up. Everybody wanted to know what these guys were going to do. And when schools were coming in talking, NIL structure and deals and putting them on the table, all of them were listening, including Kayshon. I talked to him a little bit on Saturday after. I thought that was a great back and forth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just to give fans the idea of, yeah, man, it was really real. You know what I mean? Like, it was a couple of days away from not getting an NIL deal done in Baton Rouge from watching Kayshon go through spring or at least rehabbing in Tuscaloosa.
That would have been tough.
Oh.
After we lost the top 4 pass catchers.
Oh, my God. I mean, like, but huge win
shout out to
for Brian Kelly.
It's just
right?
A lot of LSU, like, they didn't want to believe that it was happening, and obviously I'm glad that it didn't, and I feel like all LSU fans are, but it's a lot of head in the sand scenario when they see what's going around. Like you said, LSU's roster was open season. People are, ducking the program essentially before the bowl game, and you don't think that the possibility of Kayshon leaving was actually real. Like, they just don't want to hear any bad news about LSU, and they just hope it never happens. But obviously everybody's glad Kayshon came back, but there's not really a real sense of realism around the LSU fan base when it comes down to something bad actually happening. It's unbelievable.
No, it's incredible. Well, I mean, like, just
that's not going to happen.
I mean, you're never.
It was never true.
Yeah, right.
Les Miles isn't going to get fired.
Are you out of your mind? Like, I mean, like, they were looking at a scenario of.
I don't know who my head coach is going to be.
Just so much uncertainty, and you're getting messages from stability. I mean, think about where LSU was in December when Brian Kelly got the job. Think about where Alabama football was. They were getting ready for the national championship. LSU's getting ready for the Texas Bowl with John Trey Kirkland at quarterback. You know what I mean? It was just, it was two polarizingly different feelings of organizations at the time. And for Kelly to be able to hang on to Kayshon and get him, and Kayshon get himself, and Kelly work the relationship, both sides working the relationship to get where it is today, man. I mean, if that is not a prime example of Brian Kelly being the dude and the right guy at LSU, I don't, there's no other example that could glaringly show, like, man, this guy came in, had the balls to call out his best player publicly when the feeling around that player was that he wasn't happy and he might leave. Kelly calls him out in public. And then the next time you see Kayshon wearing LSU gear, he looks full speed, laughing, humming it up with his head coach, and can't wait to tell everybody that he's 100%. I mean, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that we haven't seen, heard about, that goes into making that relationship function like it is today. And that's a ton of credit to both sides. Kayshon being a superstar player that thought about doing other things and not coming back and going other places and resetting his mind and getting his rehabilitation up to speed and physically ready to go. And his head seems really clear, and it looks like the relationship between his new head coach from both sides, from Kayshon's point of view and from Brian Kelly's point of view, seem really real. Like, this stuff doesn't seem made up. You've seen a lot of public displays of affection from coach to superstar player where you're like, they don't like each other. You know? I mean, like Belichick, Tom Brady. Even when they were talking about each other well, you were like, I don't know. That doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like they like each other that much.
They ain't hanging out after.
But you could feel that. Even as they're complimenting one another, you're like, you don't mean that.
Tom's like, I love Bill. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
I think it just got to the point where Bill was ready to move on, but Tom Brady was too, like, he was in with Robert Kraft. And
Brady
he
was
almost
running the organization.
Yeah, like, he took some of his power away, so he was
Right.
like, I want this guy out, tried to get Jimmy G, and Tom Brady pulled the ace card again. He's like, all right, this is done.
I tell you, if you're not watching The Captain, the series on Derek Jeter on ESPN, it is a phenomenal watch. I love documentaries. I love behind the scenes. I love storytelling. I love all that stuff. Look, Derek Jeter's controlling the message. Derek Jeter is a habitual private person. I mean, like, as private as a superstar.
Just made Twitter.
Just made Twitter. But I mean, like, he was a shortstop for the Yankees for 19 years. And I mean, it didn't happen till later in his career where stuff became public. The way that he was able to protect the brand, he's kind of given you the way that he did that. I mean, obviously it wasn't a cell phone and a social media time for the majority of his career, but, he had to navigate New York City as the captain of the Yankees. And these guys talk about the loyalty and the expectation from a personality of a guy like Jeter. And I'm not by any means, comparing Kayshon and Derek Jeter, but superstars of organizations, right? Your best player, your captain, the guy that you count on, the guy that, you'll retire Jeter's number. They've retired Jeter's number. You give Kayshon the historic big playmaker number in the program. But the way that these guys can just totally turn it off if they feel slighted, right? Like, Jeter talks about the negotiation late in his career with Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner. How, one thing that Jeter asked through the last negotiation, through the last contract, was that everything stay private. There's going to be blood that's thrown on the wall. People are going to say some things that they, are going to have to say, out in front of everybody. But let's keep it private. And that thing goes public within like 3 days. It's on the back page of the New York Times. Somebody's leaking it within the Yankees. Wow. And from that day on, Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees, his first sentence in that last negotiation is, hey, whatever it takes, don't listen to anything. I'm not fielding calls from anywhere else. I've told my agent I don't want to go anywhere else. Let's get this deal done. I want to be here, right? And the Yankees, are kind of like publicly playing him a little bit.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, right. And you can see how he loses that mentality real quick. Like, oh, I thought, like, I'll do it. I'll leave.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know, like him and Brian Cashman like totally fall out. He says, after the press conference, like, I didn't say 20 more words to Cashman, while I was there. At one point we kind of like came up together. It was, but it just gives you an idea. The risk reward that Brian Kelly played with Kayshon, and to get him to the mindset and where he is physically now, and like the respect that they have for one another, it just seems very real. And it seems like Kayshon's very motivated, and he seems healthy, and it seems like Brian Kelly believes in him 100% and knows that he's got a playmaker that he's got to touch it 8 to 12 times a game. I would think that would be a fair number for Kayshon. Let him touch it 8 to 12 times a game. He was on a spree last year where every time he touched it, he was scoring.
Yeah, he was on he was in a whole different mode from the rest of the country. And I think it speaks volumes to his character that he could, like, withstand all the stuff that went on, like coaches leaving, and Brian Kelly called him out, and he was about to go to Alabama, and he still just stayed to himself, and he went through that process, and he stayed at LSU, and he stayed home, and he said it was for a reason. So, that's a really true testament to his character, that he stayed here and went through all of that. He was hurt. Coach called him out. Alabama's calling every day, and he just blocked all that out and said, look, I'm going to just stay at LSU, and I'm going to, do my thing. And obviously, NIL played a part in that, but also he had to say, look, I'm staying,
Absolutely. So. No, he had to buy back in. He had to re-engage. He had the most credit I give Kayshon for anything is getting himself right physically. Because when he sat right there, the day that he came in here 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago, what was that? I mean, it was before spring practice.
Yeah.
It was like in March.
Right? He wasn't going through spring practice.
It was it right after the second surgery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he had
It
the
was
boot on.
right after the second surgery. He had the boot on. I mean, he looked like there was no way that he was going to be 100% for game one of his junior season. It just looked like there was no way. I mean, he looked out of shape. He looked disengaged. He looked like he didn't care. He sounded a little like he was detached. He had that comment about his recruiting class of, come in, get what you can, get out. You know what I mean? And that rubbed everybody kind of the wrong way. And then the next time you saw Kayshon was in the middle of the summer at Brian Kelly's youth camp, or at least it was for me, but I think there were some public images that started to come out from him. I think they had some news cameras at those events that showed him. And then the Manning Passing Academy, you saw him running and catching routes from Brennan Daniels and Nussmeier, and you thought, wow. I mean, the first time I saw that video, I thought it was from last year. Like, I thought it was like, damn, he's moving that good? And then I've had the chance to go out and watch him throw a little bit in the offseason and run around. And I'm telling you, 2 surgeries later, 2.5, 3 months ago, he looked out of shape, disengaged. He looks like a first-round pick just running in, shorts and T-shirt, catching the football. I mean, but his natural glide of it just looks so easy. We had Westgate head coach, Coach Antoine on, and we asked him who's the best athlete to ever come out of Opelousas, to ever come out of New Iberia. And I just kind of threw Mark Roman out there, and he kind of thought about it, and he mentioned Roman back at me. And Roman's probably up there. If it's not Kayshon, it's Mark Roman, but he said Kayshon. And, the reason why he said Kayshon was because he just makes it look so easy. Football's not that easy. I mean? Like, Kayshon, the way that he makes it, like, just catch, make a guy miss, shake somebody up, and then just outrun somebody to the end zone from 50 yards out, that's really, really hard to do, man.
Like a Ferrari.
And he is,
shifting gears.
He's right. He's right physically. He's right mentally. He's right in the sense of I expect him to be playing for a top 15 draft choice.
I think he knows that too, right?
I think that's where he is.
Yeah, we're not in the same scenario of a Jamar Chase where you just put up 19 touchdowns. You can kind of pack it in and be like, look, I don't even have to play this year.
Yeah,
he needs the money year more than anybody did. Like, I know people want to compare him to Jamar Chase, Derek Stingley. We're like, oh, he's just going to wrap it up this year. Like, doesn't have to play. He can hang it up. Like, I don't think that he's Kayshon's in that boat because what you've seen has been great, but you have to see it for a full season. It would seem to be like prove what you've done over like a consistent period of time, especially with his like everything that's been floating around him. Like, let's see some consistency out of him, and I think that would all but hammer home a top 15 pick, top 10 pick for Kayshon, and I think he knows that probably better than anyone. Like, that's had to have been hammered home to him.
And he knows the competition's out there. That kid from Ohio State is on his.
Absolutely.
Right,
there's a couple of people.
Heels.
I mean, like, even like people throwing love at Jordan. I love Jordan Addison, the player. It was fun to watch him play last year. But if him and Kayshon are right, they're healthy, it ain't even close. No. It's not even close. I mean, like.
I didn't even know who he was until
me either.
Honestly.
Me either. And the only reason why I watched him was because of his quarterback. I wanted to see if that guy was for real. And then that guy ended up winning the Biletnikoff. So good for him. He's a good player. You know what I mean? But if Kayshon is healthy and Kayshon's engaged and right, it's not even close who's a better prospect.
I mean, he led the country in touchdowns 2 weeks after he was hurt.
I mean, Coach, it felt like every time he touched it last year for a portion of the season, it felt like every time he touched it, he was going to break it.
As bad as the LSU football season was, it seemed like where it was trending. Felt like if you had Kayshon, you had a chance.
Yeah.
Like, your offense could still, because they had no identity on offense, certainly after he got hurt. But before, when he was in the game, Max Johnson at least knew I could find one, and we can kind of get this thing rolling a little bit. And you can see Max Johnson's numbers when he was there and when he's gone. And it's a precipitous fall off because, I mean, after that, they changed the entire way that the offense was run.
Well, and I think this season you will not have to play like that because it now feels like
There's more of a game plan.
tools that you have around him are more proven. There's more I mean, John Emery had expectation for him going into last year. Mm-hmm. The Friday of the UCLA game is when they found out that Emery was not going to be available for the season. So, I mean, the effect that has on the program is just ground shifting. But even like microscopically, the effect it can have on another playmaker like Kayshon, he's sitting in the locker room on Saturday morning out in Pasadena thinking, damn, I got to make even more plays today.
And he did.
He did. But, I mean, he thought that a little bit of the load be taken off of him by John Emery, who can get 15 to 20 touches a game that can take some of the offensive pressure off of him. Now, a year later, you've got questions answered on Jack Besh. You've got question answered on Brian Thomas. You've got Chris Hilton, who continues to come along and be a story at the wide receiver room. Jeray Jenkins is as consistent of a player as they have on the team. There's guys around Kayshon that feel like are playmakers, right? So you can take the pressure off of him this season more than really the last 2 years that he's been there. I mean, think about the last 4 games of his rookie year, of his freshman year. He might have been the best wide receiver in the conference, literally. I mean, even with all those first rounders at Alabama, all those guys that were coming out of Alabama at that time, I mean, Kayshon, the way that he finished up 2 years ago was as good as anybody in the country. I mean, once the light bulb went on for him, and now it's here, and he's got some pressure taken off of him from the guys around him. And Lloyd, to what you were talking about, I think we've talked about this a couple of times of, Jamar Chase and Derek Stingley were in unique positions as football players where they had proven so much in just 1 year that they had done enough to answer so many questions that guys that make choices, people that make choices within draft picks, selection makers, they had answered a lot of those questions around Chase, Stingley, right? Stingley's 2019 season, everything that he accomplished on the field really checked off all the questions that any scout, head coach, general manager, owner of any organization ever had. I mean, a guy like Lovie Smith, who's, forgotten more football than we'll ever know, watched more football than we ever have collectively, right? Knew from 2019, if he ever had a chance to get Stingley, he wasn't even going to, they sprinted the draft card up to Roger Goodell. I mean, and since they've taken him, you've seen some of the quotes that Lovie Smith, Lovie's like, he's better than I expected. I thought he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean,
might retire the jersey.
I mean, and then Jamar, Jamar's 2019 season was so good. He ate up so many defensive backs, so many guys that were drafted. A.J. Terrell in the first round.
Diggs.
I mean, just ate them up that all these decision makers really had all their questions answered. So those guys literally, which they did, could sit out a season of football and still be top 5 picks. I think that Kayshon could sit this season out for all that he's accomplished, go test off the charts, and still be a late first round, second round selection. If Kayshon suits up for LSU, which he's going to do, go out in his junior season and just be Kayshon. Just go be yourself. That decision could make him $25 million. I mean, let's say he is a top 3 to 5 pick, like Stingley and Chase were. The difference of the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th selection in the first round and a second round selection compared to a top 3-5 pick is $20 million. $25 million. So is it smart for Kayshon to get out and have to play this year? You're damn right it is. I mean, if college football is becoming a business, which it is, for both sides of the table now, both the player and the school, this is a business decision for Kayshon. What do you want the next investment in you to be? $25 million or $3.5 million with a chance to make the team? I mean, for Stingley and Chase, that question was answered in 19. Boutte's answered a lot of questions over the last 2 years. Still got a couple remaining on the board. Easy for him to answer, too. He's got the cheat code. He knows the answers to the test. All he's got to do is just suit up and go be himself. That's all he's got to do. Literally. And if he's got pressure taken off of him because Brian Thomas, Jack Besh, and Jeray Jenkins are catching 7 to 12 balls a game, and he's touching it, Kayshon is 8 to 12, some of those 8 on single coverage.
I mean, who you going to double cover, though?
Well, and I think that's what
You have to double him.
You got to.
Then you got Malik Neighbors in the slot.
That's what I'm saying. Damn, I didn't even say Malik Neighbors.
Right.
I mean, I didn't say Malik. And Malik Neighbors might be he might be the second wideout on the team.
But if there's a silver lining to what happened last year, it's all those guys had to grow up quick because you still had to play football and you still had to trot 4 guys out there. And you saw the maturation of Jack Besh. You saw the coming in of his own of like Malik Neighbors. You saw what Jeray Jenkins didn't do. It feels like he's been here forever, but he's always been a guy for you. And then you saw flashes with Chris Hilton, but those guys had to get like legitimate playing time because there was no Kayshon. Not legit playing time, but targets because your number one's out. And so you saw Jack Besh kind of step into that role, and now it feels like they've played a full season of football when they really weren't expected to. So this whole thing's going to be humming at a different level, but because of Kayshon being out. And so now you add him into that mix, that could be a dangerous LSU football team on the offensive end. It all just depends if they get quarterback right.
Sammy Speaks is in. We've got Sammy ready for us. We will go to him. We'll ask him a little bit about Kayshon. We'll ask him about some of the rookies in this LSU class and this wide receiver. I mean, we didn't mention Malik Neighbors. We didn't mention Kyron Lacey. I mean, this wide receiver room is sick.
Brian Thomas.
So deep. I mean, Landon Ibieta might catch a pass or two. Maybe. I don't know. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure to remember our poll question. We'll have a poll question up for you soon, at some point, before we get out of here at 9 a.m. But all of our poll questions daily are brought to you by Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge. Our friends over at Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge can help you out with your vision today. If you're struggling with your vision and you're curious about what the remedy may be, go see Dr. Ann Shaw and her great team over at Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge. That is on Jefferson Highway. Beautiful new office. If you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, they'll save you 25% on name brand sunglasses that they have over at Southern Eye Center. If you need new shades, if you need new sunglasses here as the summer months wrap up and you're getting into fall and tailgating season, go pick them up over at Southern Eye Center on Jefferson Highway. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show. Save yourself 25% on top-of-the-line names in sunglass selection over at Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge. Great team over there with Dr. Ann Shaw. We'll be back with some recruiting information from Sammy Spiegelman from On3. He was there at Catholic High on Saturday. We'll ask him the impact Shelton Sampson can make on this class. We'll ask him about a couple of other players on the board. Huge numbers on this Monday morning inside of our YouTube chat. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. We appreciate you starting your Monday here with us. Remember, if you have not already subscribed to our channel, make sure and hit that subscription button. We'll tell you about our great Caesars Sportsbook giveaway, an opportunity to catch a Saints preseason game and a chance for 4 tickets to LSU Florida State inside of the Caesars Superdome coming up on Labor Day weekend. We'll tell you how you can win a pair or win a couple of pair next year. When we come back with Sammy Spiegelman talking recruiting next year on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I was embarrassed about my smile.
Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. You see the QR code up there in the top right of your screen. That's from our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Great opportunities from our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Not only can you always bet risk-free up to $1,500 by using the promo code FM15, that is the letter F, the letter M, 15. But right now, leading into game week, which is going to be August 26th for the Saints, and then September 4th, the opener for LSU. Our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook are giving you an opportunity to walk away with 4 tickets to each of them. If you want to go to the Saints game, Saints versus Chargers inside the Caesars Superdome, August 26th, last preseason game for the Saints at home, only one. Use the promo code JCSaints15, JCSaints15. Or if you want 4 tickets for LSU Florida State inside the Caesars Superdome coming up on September 4th, use the promo code JCLSU15, JCLSU15. Now, caveat here, if you're already signed up, you're going to need a new email address because you got to be a new customer. So get a new email address or just use one of your other email addresses. Sign up for the Caesars Sportsbook promo we got going on over there. Give yourself a chance to win 4 tickets to either Saints, Chargers, preseason action on the 26th of August, or LSU, Florida State. Tickets for 4 for the opener. You do have to make a deposit and a bet to be entered to win. You can't just sign up. Make a bet. All right, our guy, Sammy Spiegelman. Saw him on Saturday. A lot of faces inside the crowd over there at Catholic High School as Shelton Sampson, the 5-star wide receiver, made his announcement. Going to LSU. Big one for Cortez Hankton, Brian Kelly, and the crew. How big? We find out now from our friend Sammy Spiegelman, who is down in South Louisiana with the pups to the side of him, shooting a rap video this morning, bro. Looked like the cover of the Chronic 2001. Sammy, good morning. God. How you doing, brother?
I can't complain. I'm here with the pups, so I really can't complain.
I would not call them pups to their face, though, bro. Jawline of my guy over the right shoulder there looks like Suge Knight. Sammy, it was great seeing you on Saturday, brother. How big of a pickup was that for LSU? Another 5-star wide receiver pledges to Brian Kelly and the Tigers.
Yeah, you could talk about, this from multiple layers, from the kind of kid that Shelton is, what he represents, the kind of player that he's going to turn into, what it means on the recruiting trail. And every way, this is colossal for LSU. There's a ton of kids in Louisiana that are getting ready to make their decisions before their senior year. And if LSU is in the mix, to see a 5-star like Shelton Sampson from Baton Rouge decide to commit before the season, it's very atypical for kids from Catholic to do this so early. They usually tend to wait. So for Shelton to do it speaks volumes. LSU is now sitting with a fantastic wide receiver class. I heard you obviously before. We're talking about the depth of the wide receiver room. Look what they got coming in with Shelton and Jalen Brown, another 5-star, consensus 5-star. Kyle Parker from Lovejoy in Texas is a polished receiver. And you think, like I said, this is a guy that Alabama wanted, that A&M wanted. Those are your conference rivals. That Florida State tried to enter the mix. It was just about kind of finding the right way to recruit Shelton, and you got to credit Brian Kelly and his staff all the way down, and that includes obviously Coach Hankton, but Joe Sloan, Jordan Arcement. Funny little story. Jordan Arcement threw Shelton his first offer as a freshman when he ran his 40 at the Catholic Combine during COVID. And you forget that Virginia was Shelton's first offer, and that was from Jordan, which is a very unique connection, obviously 3-4 years later.
Bring me back to that day. I remember that day, the day that Catholic High had that on-campus pro day, and the legend of Shelton Sampson being born right there. I mean, this could go down in the next couple of years as almost like a legendary recruiting tale, right?
Absolutely, and you have to credit Coach TWITTA for what he did for Catholic at this point. I mean, this was the beginning of COVID. No one was sure whether you could go outside or be around people. But people in Texas, people in Louisiana, they don't know how to get their kids recruited the same way without spring football, without media or coaches coming by the high school to prop up their players. So TWITTA held a combine, put them through all the same drills, through individual position workouts. We filmed everything Shelton did when he ran his 40. Now remember, Shelton was a goofy looking sophomore at 6'3" and 180 something pounds. And he ran a 4.36, and I looked at Jarrett Roser, who you all know, and my jaw just dropped. And Gabe said, "Run it again," and he ran it again, and he ran 4.35. And we put it out, and within hours, Jordy, Virginia, Mississippi State, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and then LSU, all within a week. And that's one thing, obviously, like you said, you can tear up the combine, but Shelton has continued to get better each year playing football. Catholic doesn't throw the ball a ton. He averages 20 yards every time he touches the football. On the 7-on-7 side, you see the way he high punts the football, can go beat double, triple teams. He's unguardable. He plays elite corners in his own district. He's going to line up against Jordan Matthews this year. He's going to have to play against Kayshon Jackson, one of the 4-star safeties from Zachary at some point. He plays against great competition. He dominates every time he touches the football. He's an All-American. It's a colossal get. And Gabe TWITTA got his recruitment going. And schools around the country adopted that kind of style to get their kids recruited during COVID. So it was a great idea by Gabe.
Gabe and Florida State won't let up, I'd imagine, even after Saturday's news, because it feels like they are closer than a lot of people will make them to be here. Even though LSU was the presumed favorite on Saturday, and at one time A&M felt like they were over his recruitment, Florida State has really closed the gap here between LSU and was a very close second, if I'm reading it correctly, on Saturday.
That's what my reporting was. I think that LSU felt that A&M was the biggest competition, with a lot of kids in the Baton Rouge area. With the transition from Coach O's staff to Coach Kelly's staff, there's a lot of holdover at A&M still that is helping A&M continue to recruit these guys in Louisiana and in particular Baton Rouge. After the visit, it seemed as if Florida State was giving Shelton the biggest run for his pledge. And, for every different recruit, every kid, everything is prioritized differently. Some want to see the field early. Some want to, go and play in the SEC. Some want to go on the relationships. And for Shelton, it was all about relationships. And Gabe, obviously, he was the former prep coach. They won a state championship together. Got him recruited. From what I understand, I don't even think he ever said no to Gabe because they are so close. It would have torn him up to say no to him. They're going to be close. They're going to be tied together at the hip forever. And Gabe is going to be a star in this business one day, and he's on his way. Agreed.
Sam Spiegelman is on Twitter at Sam Spiegs. Make sure you keep up with all of the recruiting information there. One of the best at On3. You can find him at Sam Spiegs. You mentioned Kayshon Jackson. He's set to announce here over the next couple of days. Maybe today. Is it today? Is that today, Sadie? Yeah. Where is he trending?
So we're gonna announce. He's gonna announce a little bit later. He's gonna push this back. We're gonna put that out when we get off air. This has become a very tight race, and the thing about Zachary is you saw with Eli Holstein had a rigorous recruiting process, flipping from A&M to eventually Alabama. We just saw their edge rusher flip from Nebraska to Auburn.
Oh, wow.
At Zachary now is they started 2-a-days today. So they said, Kylan, if you want to commit now that once 2-a-days start, you need to be sure. A&M and LSU are going to be his 2 finalists. We're going to put that out shortly. And it's still up in the air. They're still trying to figure it out. He just wants to be sure. He thinks that he'll be able to have a decision by Saturday. A&M, Coach Bowen, Coach Rushing, making it really tough. Jimbo Fisher has been involved with Kylan. They got some familiarity. Jordan Gilbert is on that roster over there. So they got some Louisiana guys. Jacoby Matthews is making a dent over there, and Kylan has seen that. It's about depth chart. It's about what way are they going to use the 6'3", 195-pound safety that is reminding me a ton of Grant Delpit, by the way.
Wow.
But LSU is also still in this. Kerry Cooks is a big fan of Kylan Jackson. We mentioned Jordan Arseman, who's known Kylan forever. Joe Sloan is working obviously with all the in-state kids, and I think that he will have a decision, and then here in the next couple of days, and it's between these 2 SEC West rivals.
Back to another safety, Derek Williams. Where is his recruitment stand right now? He's been pledged to the University of Texas for a couple of weeks now, but we have all anticipated LSU and other schools not to let up on him. What are you hearing on the Westgate safety?
Yeah, I think his recruitment is, quote unquote, shut down for the next couple of weeks, months as Westgate tries to repeat as 4A state champions, but that does not mean that any school has stopped recruiting the Raptor out of Westgate. I can tell you for sure that LSU and Alabama aren't going to let up. Mm-hmm. And Texas has to keep recruiting him. They just got him on campus, obviously, over the summer, but it's a long ways to go. And you guys know this. When you're an in-state kid, it's hard to keep an out-of-state pledge if the school really wants you from your home state. And LSU has not taken their foot off the gas. From talking to people out there in New Iberia, they say that Derek is fully locked in with Texas. That's all the signs that I've gotten from him as well. But it's August 8th, and we'll see how the season goes, and we'll see how, like I said, it's hard. If you're Terry Joseph and Steve Sarkisian, you need to keep recruiting these Louisiana kids as hard as you're recruiting the guys in your own state. And that'll be the emphasis for this Texas staff as they recruit Derek and Arch Manning. And, they're recruiting a lot of Louisiana guys. So we're going to see what they're made of. But I know that Alabama, they just got a commitment from the number 1 safety in the country, and Caleb Downs. Their eyes are still on Derek Williams and a different role in their secondary. And I think Alabama has a number 1 recruiting class in the country again. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them tack onto it. And LSU, they're obviously after Kylan Jackson. Whether they miss or get him, I don't think it even makes a difference because they're recruiting Derek in a different role, and they're very high on the Raptor.
Ricky Collins is going to make his announcement on Wednesday night. We saw Ricky inside of the gymnasium on Saturday at Catholic High supporting Shelton Sampson. His recruitment has hit the grease here over the last couple of months and really taken off. He decommitted from Purdue. What do you expect on Wednesday night?
I think this is trending toward LSU. I think the home state has done a really good job of recruiting Ricky. And, I think we've spoken about this. Ricky has never he's never, left his loyalty to Purdue. And talking to him on Saturday, he still has a great relationship with the Brahms. And obviously his mind is elsewhere right now as he gets ready to make this decision on Wednesday. But I think that speaks to the kind of kid that Ricky is, that he, wanted to decommit from Purdue and give the Brahms a chance to find their next quarterback in this cycle, give him adequate time as his heart was bringing him elsewhere. Florida State got him on campus in June. I think that's LSU's biggest concern. He's talked about his relationship with Coach Yurcich and James Franklin at Penn State, but that's Happy Valley is a long way away from Baton Rouge.
Yes.
So I think ultimately this comes down to LSU, and they've dug in with Ricky since June and July, getting him on campus. I think he's been there 3 or 4 times at this stage. They've wanted Brian. It's an interesting thing. Brian Kelly was recruiting him at Notre Dame before they offered a bunch of quarterbacks. And Tommy Reese was obviously the primary recruiter, but that's an interesting tie-in with Ricky as obviously he gets ready to make a decision on Wednesday. We talk about Joe Sloan, and Joe Sloan offered him at La Tech and is a critical reason why we think LSU is trending with Ricky. But Brian Kelly has had a relationship with him for 2+ years, and we'll see on Wednesday if that comes full circle.
If they're able to land Ricky on Wednesday, Sammy, you have covered this as well as anybody and has been connected to this. What would that mean for the quarterback room at LSU in the last 3 cycles? When you talk about Nussmeier, Howard, and if you're able to put Collins in the boat on Wednesday night, that's 3 Elite 11 quarterbacks in 3 successive cycles. I've been covering LSU for 12 years. I can't remember them sitting this healthy at quarterback ever in a cycle like they are right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to recruit if you're LSU. It's hard to recruit five-star quarterbacks like Dante Moore to LSU when you have a quarterback room that Jaden Daniels is there. Walker Howard is a five-star freshman, and Garrett Nussmeier is QB1 about to make his dent on college football. We're all kind of waiting on that. That quarterback room is very intimidating if you're Joe Sloan and Denbrock trying to recruit right now high-level quarterbacks that want to see the field early. Like I said, every kid is looking at different factors, and I don't know if Ricky is really scared away from the depth chart, and he's more about development and relationships. So I think we'll see how that works. But if you theoretically add Ricky Collins, and listen, if you add a five-star quarterback or a high four-star, I mean, they're not playing right away, and it's going to take time to develop, and all of a sudden that room is set up, and you have different styles of quarterback, which I personally like. We've talked about this. Nussmeier is a gunslinger. He's got a sexy deep ball. He can make off-platform throws. Walker is freakishly talented when you talk about arm talent and the way he sees the field and attacks it, and his confidence is through the roof. And then, man, I was talking to Ricky about his game against Catholic High last year when he went against Shelton, and Ricky is the ultimate gamer. I like to joke around that Louisiana is a quarterback state in 2023 with Arch and Eli and Ricky and Zay behind him at Scotlandville. And Ricky is the ultimate gamer, and I think if there's one game to win and there was one quarterback to pick in this class from Louisiana, you really need to consider Ricky Collins. That dude has ice in his veins. Mm-hmm. He's a polished passer. He's an extremely gifted athlete, but the best thing about Ricky is his confidence and his poise, and that's something that you can't teach, and I'm excited to see if he lands at LSU what Joe Sloan will do with him.
What is his best quality on the field as a quarterback? He does a lot of things well, and I've seen his accuracy really be targeted as maybe his best attribute, but going to watch him play, his competitive nature jumps off at you. I mean, he is a competitor, but from a quarterbacking spot, Sammy, how do you evaluate him?
He does everything right. You can't say, he doesn't have great arm accuracy or arm power. He can't make this throw. He can do all that. Maybe Eli has a stronger arm. Arch might get the ball out a little bit quicker. So if you want to
sure
take you're talking about the competitiveness, the way he sees the field, his ability. Look at what they have at Woodlawn, and this is a team that's going to go into the state semifinals at least. Trust me. But they don't really have Power 5 offensive linemen. Ricky doesn't have a number one wide receiver. He's never had that. He hasn't even had really that steady of a running game behind him. But every single week, you have confidence in number one that he's going to go out there and win the game, and he's done that more often than he hasn't. He doesn't get rattled. He can drop back in the pocket and he can deliver. Trust me, he sees the field fantastically. But he can be on the move. He can get the ball out off schedule, off platform. He can run if he wants to. He's a fantastic baseball player. He's played basketball. He's done it all. But I really think that the situation never rattles him. And I don't know how many quarterbacks I've seen over the years that, including this own cycle that we're talking about, that are ranked ahead of him. When the moment is big, you see them kind of crumble. And I've never seen that with Ricky. And I don't think I think that's just what makes Ricky special. And he might not be a top 100 kid, but those intangibles you cannot teach or instill in a kid.
How about his teammate, Jordan Matthews? We saw him alongside him on Saturday. Where does he stand going into his announcement in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, he's going to be committed on a week from today. He's down to Texas, Tennessee, and Michigan. And this is trending toward Texas. They've got him on campus, I believe, 5 times now after he was on campus last month. They just made him a top priority, and Texas is rolling on the recruiting trail since they got Arch Manning on board. And in the secondary, they've attacked in-state, and Jordan has uniquely been atop of their board from the out-of-state perspective, along with Derek Williams. And if Terry Joseph can come into Louisiana and get Derek Williams from New Iberia and Jordan Matthews, an LSU legacy from Baton Rouge, from Woodlawn, that would be a statement get for Texas in this 2023 cycle. Tennessee is really in this. His mom is wearing the 3 wristbands. She is given no clues. I think, Jordan is a 4.0 student. He's looking at not only football and obviously development, but, where he can go get the best business degree. And he's very into his business degree, and he's going to be a success away from football as well. And that's why Tennessee and Michigan are also in there, in Texas. But I think Texas has the leg up, and we'll see where he's at in a week.
A lot of people that are listening right now are curious about Nicholas Harbor and what's going on with his recruitment. What a freak of an athlete.
Yeah, I think I might have said this when I was in studio. I think he might be competing for the Olympics in a couple of years. Right. Like, he is a different kind of cat. The size, speed. He just ran 10-2 or something. Like,
Jesus, man.
Insane for his size. Like, you're talking about freak in the truest sense of the word. LSU is in this. You see the way that they're recruiting edge rushers around the country. They're in, and LSU is on his short list. I think I've said this to you. I think Maryland is kind of a dark horse that I think people around the country are not giving as much credit to, and they've done in-state guys under Loxley. They keep them home. They did it with Rakim Jarrett a couple of years ago, who was committed all the way to signing day. I still have a lot. I consider Maryland a major threat. I know he just visited South Carolina. They're selling him on being the next Debbie and Clowney, but I don't see that transpiring. I really do think it's a two-team race, but I think LSU is a campus. He's got a great relationship with Jamar Cain, and Jamar Cain is recruiting him above other nationally elite dudes. But I think that Maryland is that major threat to LSU right now.
Sammy, next time you're in town, we'll see you in studio, right?
Yes, sir.
Great to hear you this morning. Great to see you on Saturday, man. Thank you for the information.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. There he is. Sam Spiegelman checking in from On3 Recruiting. Make sure you follow him at Sam Spiegs on Twitter and keep up with all the things that are going on social media. Recruiting right now is on fire, not only for LSU, but just nationally. There's a lot of things that's happening as far as recruiting goes. LSU is on fire from a recruiting standpoint. And as we said, Ricky Collins is set to make his announcement on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Looks like that'll be live here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Just a couple of details to iron out here today before 3 o'clock, before we put the press release out that confirms that. Feel pretty good that that's going to happen here on the channel come Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So make sure you are tuned in to find out where Ricky Collins will announce. All you need to do is make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, and if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that alert button to keep up with the information and the content that's coming out. Daily, we're brought to you by Dead Soxy. As you see, our sock drawer here, sitting right next to the carpool queen who snuck in after the first day of carpool.
How's different?
Summer's
Quite a
over.
line.
How's the
Summer
traffic
is
out there?
over.
Katie,
It's
did you just get
bad.
your kid a car?
Yeah. That's
What a
one
life.
kid.
One kid.
By the
I
way,
have
what a
two
life.
others.
Yeah, blew their load on
Kid
that car.
16 gets a brand new Audi. Like, Katie, can you be my mom?
Yeah.
She pretty much is,
Top
bro.
class. Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much am. Except I'm not
Congratulations.
I mean,
buying
car then.
that doesn't help me very much. I mean, she's just going to SJA, which is right here. I still have to go to Episcopal. Yeah.
She doesn't want a car. She doesn't want to bring her. They don't want to go to the
Why
sister.
can't she be the carpool
It's
mom?
on the other
Sister?
side of town.
Well, I mean,
See it a couple of miles in.
that's what I'm saying.
No,
Yeah,
that's
just they
not
start
happening.
bonding a little bit. Let them get
They already
closer.
bond every day. She
All
has
right.
to take
Sounds like
Cooper
you
to
want to
Catholic.
bond more than
I do. This
Yeah.
is my last year of carpool. It's my last year to
My-
have somebody in the car with me, so it's very important to me. Yes. So
Separation
the line was
anxiety.
long.
Uh-huh.
It was weird, but like these past 2.5 months, it's just been here all day, every day, and like nothing's been urgent. And now it's like
Yeah.
everything has
Now you
changed.
got to be on time.
Oof.
Now I got to be on time.
Did she
It's
get out the
crazy.
car like super quick, or are you like, no, you can't get out yet? We have to get all the way up to the stop sign.
No, there's a point you pull up to, and they know when they can get out.
Because I know that whenever you're at that age of 15 and your mom's pulling you in, like, just drop me off here. I'm walking.
Yeah.
all
No,
the way up
I
to
don't
it's
the-
not like that.
yeah.
We're
She's a
good.
sophomore?
She's a sophomore.
Wow, bro.
I know.
yeah.
Two
Times
That's a
are
power
changing.
play.
Sophomores
Still in the
and
carpool
freshmen.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
she's 15.
I was catching rides.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Same.
No doubt about it.
I was riding with my friends.
Absolutely.
They don't
Yeah.
have she only has 2 friends that drive in her grade. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
Really?
getting
all
in.
their birthdays are like in the spring. Like
burn a
2
heater real
kids have
quick.
turned 16 in 10th grade so far. So
Wow.
it's just
Yeah,
not.
bunch
I
of
mean,
young
There's
kids.
also
see,
a,
Jordy, we were 15 when we
Great.
got our
No
license.
doubt.
So it was totally
I
different.
know.
I was
mean,
driving to school.
I was
in
driving
ninth
this
grade.
summer going into freshman year.
Were you really?
Yes.
Wait, how?
Guys.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, we
Your
had a
birthday's
permit.
in October.
Yeah, no, but we had a permit.
But how
Like
did you
a
drive?
work permit, and I would drive my uncle's truck.
you're supposed to have an
around.
adult in
I'll
the
never
car with
forget
you.
By yourself?
me and Brandon Bourgeois were sitting at the light on Government and Foster, and my dad pulled up next to us, and we were in my uncle's truck. And my first reaction was just to run the red light and floor it.
What? Why is that your first reaction?
Because, I mean, I didn't want my dad to see us driving
so run a
illegally.
red light, which is illegal.
But, I mean, Baton Rouge was a totally different town back then, bro. It really was. I mean,
Why?
I
What
hate
do
to
you
sound
mean?
so old, but I mean, like,
People didn't care that you ran red lights.
no, but I mean, like, you could have, like, 14 and 15-year-olds driving around town.
Burning
Yeah.
heaters.
You know, I mean, it was.
Wait, so what was your first car?
My first car was a Bronco, too.
Oh, that's cool.
Electric. The
An
first car that I
88
got,
Bronco,
the
too.
first car I got rides to school in was a Bronco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a blast.
Was it OJ?
I think it was it. Who drove it? It was OJ's friend.
Yeah, it was
Al
the friend.
Callings.
Who was it?
AC.
Al Callings.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Your
about
first
that guy
car?
the whole time.
I mean, I've never had a friend, such a good friend, that I loved him so much that I bought the exact same car as him, which Al Callings did.
Oh, he
They had
did?
the same
That was
exact
not
Bronco.
OJ's Bronco that they were going
was
down
the
the
friend's
interstate in.
Bronco.
That was Al Callings' Bronco.
But was that planned? That's weird, right?
I don't know. I mean, I
they
think
were
it was
just
just
good
a little
friends.
obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Callings was a little.
That's
Did
weird.
AC do it? Has he ever been?
We're opening up a whole can of worms.
OJ's
Reopened the trial.
OJ was cited in Shreveport over the weekend.
I saw
No
that.
way.
Yeah, they saw him. They saw him in Shreveport. He was not cited for any crime.
Oh, I thought you literally meant he was cited.
He's like,
I'm
yeah,
oh my
cited.
God,
He
what did
didn't
he
do it.
What
do?
did he do?
Really?
Nothing.
What's he doing in
Did the gloves
Shreveport?
fit?
He just he's a big picture guy.
Yeah,
Loves to take a picture with
he
you.
looks like it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
I mean, he
so
looks like he's
strange.
probably one of those Affleck guys. Have you seen that video of Affleck on social media where all these people are like in line waiting to take pictures of him, and he's hitting his pen in between the pictures, and he's doing
Ben
like
Affleck.
he's doing the smile, like kind of like, and he's like blasting this pen. Just
Oh, so it's not a commercial.
no,
Yeah,
this
I
is
kinda
real
thought that was
life.
a commercial.
Talking about
No,
Ben
no, this
Affleck.
is real life. Ben Affleck.
Oh, I thought
no,
there was
you're
something
talking
about
about
OJ.
Affleck
Yeah.
commercial. No. Ben Affleck.
Oh, I thought you were talking about OJ. You were talking about when Ben Affleck was burning, like, wasn't that 6?
I think it was like a electric.
Oh, I thought it was like
cig.
real 6.
No, I think it was electric cig.
What's he taking pictures for?
People, I mean,
I
everyone.
mean, I think it was just like, you know, like movies, like people were like,
Lined
there's
up to
Ben
just take
Affleck.
pic- Oh,
It's Ben
you take a
Affleck.
could
picture.
you imagine?
Oh,
No.
dude.
Like 20 people, it's like, oh,
no,
buddy.
leave me alone.
No.
I'd wear a hoodie and sunglasses everywhere.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
he'd just take his shirt off and smoke a cigarette. That's his move.
Dwayne Dumars, OJ and Al have family in Shreveport and Natchitoches.
Oh, I did know that. I knew he had family in Natchitoches.
Really?
He told us. Whenever I
Hayden
met him.
Paris, OJ is from Shreveport. His family's from Shreveport.
What?
He was talking all.
Did we
whenever,
not know this?
I
I
didn't know
did
that.
know this. I thought he was lying because
You thought OJ was lying?
But yeah, he didn't know he did throw a fib or two out there. But we were talking to him on the first tee at that golf course, and my buddy's bachelor party that it was, he were from Alexandria. He's like, oh man, did y'all ever go up to Natchitoches? And we were like, how do you know about Natchitoches? He's like, I got family in Shreveport. Like, we used to go down the river all the time on Front Street. And I was like,
Wow.
he's not lying. But I never thought about it again until just now.
When I played,
weird.
Well traveled.
I played in the in Patrick Peterson's golf tournament. Our celebrity that we played with was Marcus Allen, and he was from New Orleans. His family was from New Orleans. He was talking about like local eateries in New Orleans when he was like, "So where are y'all from?" And we were like, "We're from Baton Rouge, but kind of like South Louisiana." And he was like asking us about like
Things that you would only know if you were
things
from
there,
New
like,
Orleans.
absolutely. I'm trying to remember the name of the damn restaurant that he brought up, and I mean, like we had Panamsky was with me from New Orleans. And he was like, "Damn, bro, like
You're in it.
you from New Orleans? Like you've been to the place?" He was like, "I'm telling you, I got family from New Orleans." It's crazy how much things tie back
Yeah, it is.
to Louisiana.
It is.
How
Lots of
all things
Louisiana's
have some type of tie. I mean, like even Bill Russell, who got one of the most recognizable basketball players, humanitarian in the world, was born in Monroe.
Yeah, it's weird.
You know, I mean, like
Yeah.
it's wild.
talent in the
just
state.
How many ties and how many things tie back
Yeah.
to Louisiana. I mean, even shit like the sniper shootings in D.C.
God, I forgot.
You know what I mean?
about
Like that guy was from Baton Rouge.
I totally forgot about that.
I mean,
the DC sniper guy.
the
was
DC
from Baton
sniper
Rouge?
was
The guy who
from
drilled the hole in
Baton
the-
Rouge.
Put his son in the trunk.
Not the guy.
Yeah.
Not the guy that the actual shooter.
Yeah.
Like Lee Malvo was the shooter.
Yeah.
The guy that was driving
driver.
him, like that, kind of like the brains behind the whole thing, was from Baton Rouge.
God, that was a weird time.
He actually lived in Baker.
Explains a lot.
Jeez, Louisiana.
Ron Baker.
Sneaky pull. Well,
Yeah.
I see you.
Dead Soxy promo code. If you use the Dead Soxy promo code Jordy, you can save yourself 35%. You see the custom design socks. It's football season. If you're looking for some LSU custom design socks, check them out at deadsoxy.com. Use the promo code Jordy for 35% off. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. John Muhammad.
I like how you
John
tied that
Muhammad
in,
was his
though.
name. Yes.
Yeah.
OJ knows all about dead
Soxies.
Soxies.
What do you mean?
If the sock don't fit, you must have quit.
That's good. Just use the promo code Jordy.
Jordy. Get tied in with those hoodlums.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On the Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
We've seen the BK takeover stuff from LSU and social media, and really in his short time in Baton Rouge, there's been a lot of people embracing his approach to building this roster. What's it like to recruit alongside him?
Oh, it's been great. Coach has been awesome to me because he lets me be myself when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching. He lets his coaches coach, he lets his coaches recruit. So I have no complaints on that end. And when I need him to get in touch with a kid, he's there for me. The communication line has been great. He's just been nothing but supportive.
But this opportunity was different. You have a chance to come to a place with unbelievable tradition, work for the winningest head coach in college football. Just be at a state. I've never been at a state where football's king, and if you just dominate your state, you're going to get some of the best players that there are.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think, getting through spring, I mean, most of it was obviously just installing the offense. And I think all 4 guys really made some strides in terms of that and showed a lot of positives. Obviously, which, you guys get to talk about all the time, so you guys,
Sure.
But all 4 have done a great job. They did. I think they did a really nice job in spring of taking strides forward individually, and everybody's different in terms of what they need to get better at and what they need to show. And then move it into summer, and I love the way they're working right now in the weight room for Coach Flint. But like I said, I think spring a lot was everything was new for everybody. So especially at the beginning, there wasn't as much evaluation, say the first few days, get into the flow, and then I think we got some good opportunities for some guys to get some reps, and I think everybody showed some positives.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling
in a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Sports with it.
It's just like anything else. I mean, I don't want to get into hyperbole, but it's, everything is. I mean, frankly, I'm still worried more about concussions. We don't talk about it much anymore, but, we've kind of helped solve it in a lot of ways and make the game a lot safer. So anytime we have existential threats, which this one could or could not be, we just deal with it, and we will deal with it. It's just part of the game. And, I don't mind a lot of what's come out of this movement of doing more for the student athletes, but like anything else, it boomerangs a little too far, and you got to swing it back into, hey, what we do for the student athletes, and it's a hell of a lot. And I'm proud of that fact that we are leaders in doing that, but we're going to do it right. The Tiger Athletic Foundation and in partnership, obviously, hand in hand with what we do, funded a master plan study because I wanted to see, hey, what we needed, and I just didn't want my opinion. I've been a few places, and I have a good one, I think, but you just want to see how and what our needs are, and so we're in that process of looking at it, and obviously, the PMAC is 50 years old this year, and probably needs some updating. It's got good bones, and maybe we can see what we can do with that. Same thing with all that property that we have both down Nicholson and where we are currently on Nicholson and North Stadium. Is that, hey, is this the proper use and best use for that? And hand in hand with the university and what we do with TAF. We'll make those decisions, and we'll be prudent and thinking about what and how we do. Yeah, it's kind of weird in a perverse way, Jordy. You know me well, is that I kind of relish in change, and I do like it. I'm one of the few people that embraces it, and we're very lucky at LSU to have it. to be where we are and to be able to do that. I mean, I can't say that for everyone in the business because it is unsettling in a lot of ways. But for us, change is a good thing, and I think we're going to be the beneficiary of it. And it's not gonna stop. It's just going to keep on going. Yeah. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I had a crystal ball and can tell you what was going on and what's going to happen. But we're going to be here and we're going to embrace it and we're going to take advantage of it the best we can.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. As always, you can find them online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Travis McGraw, the movie with the pilot running cocaine for the cartel, was from bloody Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. It was. That was, of course, Barry Seal, who was a...
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Great movie, too.
I love that role for him. I thought he was great.
Yeah,
he was.
That role.
If Barry Seal was still with us, I'm sure he'd be thrilled. Like, oh, man, if I could ever pick somebody to play a movie for me, like Tom Cruise, like, oh, I'll take that any day of the week. That would be great.
Yeah,
we grew up with Barry's son, Aaron Seal. In town, who's a total badass, if nothing but just by his name recognition.
I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. Is he still around?
Certain type of cachet that he brought when he walked into the room. I don't know if he is still around because it's been a long time since I've seen him.
There's a Seal family here.
Sure. I mean,
Are they all related?
I mean, Barry was from here.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
I just wonder if they're all related.
I'd imagine.
Or do you claim it? Like, I would. I would be like,
sure.
yeah, I'm really good. But I bet some people would not want to claim that,
Barry
right?
Seal's my cousin, right? Yeah.
Super cool guy.
Yeah, empty your pockets.
Now.
Check your safe.
But just with some of the ties back to Baton Rouge. You know what I mean? More ties back to Baton Rouge. All right, coming up this week on the Jordy Culotta Show, we'll continue to preview LSU fall camp. We will dive into some of the storylines. Practice is at 9:45 this morning, and we will have a crew out there. I'm trying to make it by a practice, so obviously we can report back on it, but we've got a lot of stuff happening over here at FM Digital Media that I can't cut away from. They used to do it in the afternoons. I love the access. Jacques was talking about it the other day, of the access that the media has for this fall camp from Brian Kelly. I mean, we'll be able to see 2 complete scrimmages in Tiger State. I mean, that's never happened ever in the history of media access to LSU football. I don't know if you've ever. I think I can speak definitively. The media has never been able to see a fall scrimmage, much less 2 of them. I remember when Nick Saban got the job here, we were friends with Donnie Jones because we went to high school with him. That was our only connection. We didn't even run in the same social circles as Jones in high school.
Parkway?
At Catholic. He went to Catholic High.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That was.
He was a Baton Rouge kid. So we all grew up playing again. Like Donnie went to St. Thomas More, so we went to St. Jude. You grew up playing against him in basketball and football, so you knew him. By the time we got to Catholic High, we'd all known each other. Donnie goes on to play football for LSU, punts out the national championship inside the Dome in 2003, gets the ring, goes on to be drafted by the Miami Dolphins and Nick Saban, who's there. Saban's first year is 2000, right? So his first recruiting class is 99 coming in. It's like Brady James, Dominic Davis, Donnie Jones is in that class. He was already on the team when Saban was here. So the first class the last class that was signed by DiNardo.
Right.
Donnie Jones was in. So the freshman ultimately for
the first class that Nick Saban inherited.
The coached.
Yeah.
What did he play? What
Right?
was
He was a
Jones?
punter.
Oh, really?
He was a punter. But he played tight end at Catholic High, and he was also a punter. But he was signed as a punter because he was like his dad from the time we were kids would send him to punt camp.
Really?
Like he would go to kicking camps when we were kids, and he had like a nickname when we were like in like Nike, like Thunderfoot was his nickname because he like would like, I mean, bro, he would like kick the football like out of sight. You know what I mean? Like we would be like at LSU football games when we were kids, and like somebody would throw the ball over his way, he'd pick it up and like
Thunderfoot
punt it like over buildings. You know, like kids would be like, "Hey, he lost our ball!" Like, Donnie, you bully!
Scram, kid.
You know what I mean? So we knew Donnie like just from a like social interaction, and we walked up thinking we could get into a fall scrimmage, me and my two buddies, because we were friends and family of Donnie Jones. Because we were like, Donnie, we got to get in these scrimmages, bro. How can we get in? He was like, well, they let friends and family in. We're like, put us on the list. And he was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, are you out of your mind?
Freshman punter.
Yeah, right.
Like Saban's
like,
ain't about to chew me out.
You lost your mind. And like, so like we get wasted at, bogeys. We're like, we're going tomorrow morning. We're going to the scrimmage.
Put us on the list.
Yeah, we're like, if we're not on the list or not, we got enough bullshit to get in there. I'm like, I'll get us in. So we get in. You know what I mean? We get in. And Saban is walking the side, like they're stretching. Like the whole team's out there stretching, and me and my buddies are like, we're in, play it cool, don't be an asshole. You know what I mean? But almost like too cool where we look like suspicious.
We don't belong
here. You know what I mean? Like
not talking to anybody.
And I'm telling you, bro, we look down, and Saban's got a young Michael Bonnet. Like Bonnet is probably the headshot that Bonnet uses today is probably from this time. If you look at Bonnet's headshot, he looks like a kid. You know what I mean? It's probably like his first or second years at LSU. And this is probably that year. And we look down, and Saban is like in Bonnet's ear, and he's pointing at us in Tiger Stadium. And like, it's friends and family. So like, everybody's kind of like sporadically put it, you know what I mean? Like, there's probably 600 people in Tiger Stadium.
Y'all?
Huh?
How did he notice y'all?
He reeked of booze
Because
and
we
weed.
were like, we looked like college
Are you
kids,
kidding?
and we probably when we got in, we were so obvious of like, we're fucking in,
Oh my God.
we're fucking in, let's go, we're in. You know what I mean? So we're
Fist
like
pumping
sitting
each
there,
other.
That's Dominic Davis.
and Bonnet comes like, I see like walking up the steps, and we're all like, keep your head down, bro, don't look, don't make eye contact.
Go to
And
the
they're like,
bathroom.
fellas, and they're like,
That can't be us.
like, guys, you're like, yo,
What's
you're
up?
like, come on, come here. And I mean, like, and then we're like, we're about to get Donnie. Donnie's about to be fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
We don't know anybody
because
here.
you had to sign in.
Oh, so you had to put his name?
Well, sure,
that
like
was
friends
your
and family. You know, we're
Cook.
like,
It's cooked.
I mean, at this point, you're like,
No,
so I'm
what a
like,
dick move.
yeah.
Did he tell y'all no? And you did it anyway?
Oh yes.
Aw, man.
Absolutely. But we did tell Bonnet that.
Okay, that's
You know
good.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we were cooked.
Yeah.
Because we were like, he's going to go to the sign-in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
How'd
Because
they-
we were
how'd
like,
they get in
oh,
here?
my cousin's a trainer and said that we could get in. You know, I was like, really, we were at the bar last night. We were fucking with Donnie, and Donnie said that friends and family could get in, and we thought we qualified as friends. And he was like, well, you don't, so pack your shit and get out of here. You know what I mean? Like,
You're done with
I mean, this
Thunderfoot.
is 2000,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, getting access
my
to a
gosh.
2022 fall scrimmage is crazy talk.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's almost like like Brian Kelly wants you to be like, hey, you see it for yourself. You
Go
see
talk
it.
about it.
Like,
Yeah.
Tell the people
what's
what
the
you see.
quarterback competition look like? You saw it.
Yeah.
You tell them. You know, like,
Yeah.
we're not hiding anything.
Yeah, I like that.
It's
Me
almost
too.
Like, it's almost like he's letting
Coach,
them
that is
write
some
their own
BD
story.
energy.
It is.
Yeah.
As a
It's
college
completely
football coach
opposite.
in 2022 to give open act. These people are by nature the most paranoid and insecure people I have ever met in my life.
Football
It doesn't
coaches?
coaches in general.
All coaches.
Coaches in general. I'm telling you, when I was on when I was shadowing Brady in 2004, I was like, this guy is measurable. I mean, he's just, they don't celebrate anything.
Yeah.
They can't look at the positive on a lot of stuff.
Right.
Everybody's out to get, even when you're eating and somebody comes up and
that's true.
It just,
that'd be hard.
I'll never forget, man. And Brady might not want me telling this story, but it is a classic fucking Brady story, man. And yeah, right. I mean, it's 2022, Coach. Everybody loves you, man. You know what I mean? It's awesome, bro. And I mean, it's kind of relevant because just a couple of weeks ago, Pistol Pete had the statue retired, and they show the statue and everything. And Brady's out there, and the family's out there, and while Brady's here, Maravich's son comes to LSU. Comes and
while Brady's coaching.
He's like
automatic scholarship.
Like the family's like, he wants to come to LSU. And, Brady's like, oh God, it's a lose-lose situation.
Might have a spot for him.
He's Maravich's son, you know what I mean? Every time they go on the road, people are, put Maravich in, you know what I mean? So we're sitting at a restaurant, I guess this is like 05 or 06, somewhere along that line. And somebody walks up to the table, and we had just had a game the night before and lost or something, you know what I mean? So we're sitting at the table, and someone, give you an idea of fans, you know what I mean? Somebody walks up to him while he's eating in the middle of a lunch, and he's got 2 or 3 people at the table with him that they're all kind of going back and forth, and somebody walks up to him and says, Coach, you need to play the Maravich boy more. And Brady's like, yeah. He's like, I mean, I just don't get it, Coach. I mean, his dad's one of the best that's ever do it. He's notarized as LSU guy. I mean, why don't you play Maravich more? I mean, the guy's got his name on the back of the jersey that's on the facility. And Brady's like, sitting there like,
Cobb salad.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, Coach, are you going to play more or not? And Brady looks up, he goes, I told the motherfucker not to come here.
Is he really?
And I mean, the guy is like, the guy's like, I mean, turns from like to just like, and like, I mean, Butch Pierre's like giving the guy the look like, get out of here, bro.
Take a hint.
Take a hint. Like, take a cue, like, get out of here. Because Brady at this time could stand up. You know what I mean? Like, he was so just like emotionally just off. You know what I mean? It's a day after the game.
Trying
I mean,
to take the high road.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to. Yeah. You know, I mean, finally he just pops and looks at, like left-handed point. Like, I told the motherfucker not to come here. You know, everybody's like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
How many people heard it everywhere?
Yeah, right. I mean, so it was just
great.
it's very rare to get these guys to allow you to like get them the access like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like how their brains actually thinking.
Absolutely.
Because you really don't want to know.
Right, you don't want to know.
No.
Yeah.
You absolutely do not want to know.
Everybody likes sausage. Nobody wants to see how
No way, man. You don't want to know the real conversations that are being had behind closed doors about your favorite player. You know what I mean? Like, you just,
Well, wear you out.
Watch the captain with Derek Jeter. I mean, even Derek Jeter, a guy like him of his stature goes through. It's a great documentary, and I realize it is from the eyes of Derek Jeter, and that it is all going to be approved by Derek Jeter. A lot like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. It's all through Jordan's prism. It's all through his eyes, right? And this is through Jeter's eyes, but there's access, and there's interviews with guys that Jeter doesn't necessarily get along with now. Guys like Brian Cashman. You know what I mean? Cashman gives his accounts of, long-term or late-term negotiations with Derek Jeter that kind of give you the idea. Once you got to get real, I mean, these real conversations that are being had behind closed doors. I mean, the Yankees were this close to losing Derek Jeter. But I mean, like, even Cashman's like, in negotiation, you have to account for what's the fan backlash going to be if we get rid of Derek Jeter? You know what I mean? Like
the optics.
The optics of it. I think the optics of Les Miles kept LSU hanging on to him longer than they needed to.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Because there was a reaction of, well, what's going to happen once you do it? Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
you can't keep hanging on to this guy. But like in Derek Jeter's case, like they brought him up and they like laid it out for him. They were like, you are not a top 15 shortstop in the league. And Jeter fires back at Cashman and says, who else you want? Jeter says, who else would you take? And Cashman fires right back at him and says, Troy Tulowitzki or the kid down in Miami? You know, like, to Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know what
I mean?
Like, to be like, you can't.
Yeah, like Jeter's like,
Do it.
like sits there and like, he was like, I remember the names. You know what I mean? And I went out the next year. Derek Jeter went out the next year and led the fucking league in hitting at 36 and became a top 3 fielding shortstop back in the league. You know what I mean? Like, because somebody told him he couldn't.
Right.
Timeless.
Right?
A list.
I mean, it just, absolutely. I took that personal.
Yeah, checking Troy Tulowitzki in the paper every day.
Yeah. Who was the Miami Marlins? It was it was something Freeman maybe? I don't know who it was, but it was, I'm telling you, the documentary on Jeter is
I keep trying to watch it, and then I'm like, baseball. So I should watch
It's not
it.
a lot of baseball.
It's not a lot of baseball. And if you remember those Yankees teams from the 90s, they're fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they were fun to watch. They had such good personality on them. I mean, I wasn't a baseball fan then, but I remember the Yankees dominating during that time period of my life. So to go back and to realize how they drafted all these guys, like the Jeters, the Posadas, the Andy Pettit, Baton Rouge,
Bernie
from Baton
Williams.
Rouge, went to Terra, Bernie Williams, all those guys. That would have never happened if George Steinbrenner would have not been suspended by baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Jeter would not have become a Yankee. Bernie Williams would not have become. The 90s Yankees probably wouldn't have been if George Steinbrenner would have not been suspended, because he was just go get me the best player going right now and let's pay him.
Take these young kids.
Let's overpay him, and then they take these draft picks away from us. So with those draft picks, you were able to get Posada, Jeter, Pettit, all these guys that are the faces of those
1990s
Yankees,
baseball into the
absolutely.
early 2000s.
Those Yankee squads.
Tino Martinez, Chuck Knobloch.
But all
Paulo
those
O'Neill.
stories
All right, I'll check it out.
are in that documentary.
Yeah.
And also kind of tells you like how Brian Cashman came to become the president of the New York Yankees.
Is it like a multi-part documentary? Like lots of episodes?
Oh, it's 8.
8 episodes?
8 part.
Okay.
8 part.
I'll check it.
Still haven't finished manning the arena, so kind of moving slow through.
No doubt. But there's a lot of good watching material out there. All right, have a good day.
Okay.
No, I was reading this because Andy Pettit may not have gone to Terra, but he was from Baton Rouge. He might have gone to high school, and maybe check me on that freshman year, Hayden.
Baton Rouge ties again.
Terra High.
Yeah.
Wow, what a place.
Speaking of Baton Rouge ties, who put this smell of Baton Rouge thing in here? Is that you?
Yes. Have you seen this?
I have seen the homesick
I read it.
candle.
Yeah,
I've
so
seen
Homesick
those for a
is
while.
it's a brand that comes out with, I guess. But
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, I wouldn't. Jordy could probably pinpoint it more because he rides on his bike, so I guess
The
he
smell
gets
of
like the
Baton Rouge.
smells of Baton Rouge. But I was like, I don't even know what. All I think of is tailgating. Like when I think of the smells and the sounds and the sights of Baton Rouge, so like I don't want to jambalaya scented candle. I don't think.
Is this
Or
how
like-
they really describe it though? Crisp morning dew from
Yeah,
the
this is
LSU
what the flavor
lakes?
is going to
that's,
be.
That's how they're describing the scent.
Crisp morning dew from the LSU lakes. Has anybody seen the LSU
I
lakes?
was about to say
It's
that.
covered in
dead-
algae and
it's
sewage.
Yeah.
You know
Dead
what the
fish.
LSU Lakes is in?
I mean, they got more heavy machinery in there right now than they do dew.
Water.
What's cold
Yeah, right.
koosh feeds the soul mean? What's cold koosh
Couscous. The food's so nice they named it twice.
That's couscous. Like what's koosh koosh?
I think that's how. You,
Yeah, I think that's how. I think,
What
I think-
is it? Why would it smell like cold couscous? This is the most
That's the
bizarre
old
thing.
LSU chant.
This is so weird to me. I guess spice. I would think like crawfish.
Y'all ring
boil,
cowbells, though.
spice.
Yeah, Katie.
What does that have to do with couscous?
What does
Cowbells.
Stark Vegas
Y'all
smell
have
like?
an egg. Y'all have a golden egg for a trophy. It's like
So that's like history
Kinda
with us and
ridiculous.
Ole Miss. Like, don't even go there. Don't even go there with the golden egg. It's a football.
it's a golden egg.
It's a football though.
It's an egg.
Can you crack it or can you throw it?
I don't know what Starkville would smell like. Probably magnolias and bulldog poop.
Smells like piss.
Yeah.
I would
I've
think
been there
LSU
before.
would smell like corn dogs and crawfish though, right?
The corn dogs thing I never understood.
I
No,
never
y'all
got that
don't.
either. I don't really
Y'all
like
never
corn
will.
dogs.
Baton Rouge smells like death.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It smells like
Jordy.
the morgue.
Literally, there are dead bodies around.
Yeah, that's
so,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You ever sucked on a nickel?
What if they put a candle out that smelled like that? Ugh.
All right, so we will have your coverage today for LSU LSU fall camp as they will hit the field at 9:45 this morning. We'll have all of the social media. Also, stay tuned. We expect an announcement at some point today about Ricky Collins, who is going to make his pledge Wednesday night. We expect him to do that here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We are still just ironing out a couple of details after the way we cornered the market on announcements and verbal commitments like we did on Saturday
watch your back.
with
National
Shelton Sampson.
programming.
We're coming for all of them.
That was a crazy
Now.
amount of views. Like,
It was.
now the show of live
And
commitments.
boy got castrated Saturday.
Yeah, they're coming for my nuts and my head.
Yeah.
Who?
I
What do
didn't-
you mean?
They thought I put the whole thing on. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not running the
They're
show
like,
here.
like,
I'm
Lloyd
sitting behind the
is
computer.
terrible.
This is the School of Rock where I'm putting a whole production on my laptop together. Like, bro, I'm just on the YouTube channel, man. I'm just making sure this thing's plugged in.
I'm trying to scream right here.
Thanks for all the credit, but I don't deserve any
Well,
of the
you
blame.
looked very busy in the background
I
the whole
know,
time,
yeah.
like on your computer.
Fantasy football is coming up.
People
Putting
were like
bets
in the chat, wave, Lloyd. If you're
Yeah.
reading the chat, wave.
No, I'm not reading the chat.
We were lucky to get off the ground on Saturday.
Absolutely, that was a Kitty Hawk at sundown, dude.
Yeah.
Had me plugged into
When
the
you leave the
main
confines of your own backyard, and we did a couple of site checks over there.
Coach.
We were led astray.
thought that we were thought we were prepared, but look, hey man, we've got our own faults over here. Nobody's pointing fingers, but
Go to Catholic Con. You want to know where the internet is.
we were
Get
just
your boy up. Start slinging
Actually,
internet.
we were lucky to get it out on Saturday. But hey man, you live and you learn, and hopefully Wednesday night from Ricky Collins' announcement, we will have that done up for you. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you have not subscribed, make sure that you are a subscriber to the chat. We're also talking about bringing back our Sunday night programming for football season, recapping and previewing what's going on within fall camp, and obviously the games once they start going on September 4th. Now, obviously that'll be a Sunday night, but just getting back to our regular season schedule of wrapping up the weekend on Sunday night for our programming here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Hit that subscribe button. David Riley, Kylan Jackson, where is he going? We had Sam Spiegelman on about an hour ago, and Spiegs confirmed that he is going to delay the commitment. He's going to push it back to Saturday, and it's going to be between LSU and Texas A&M. No way A&M can come in here and get two top safeties out of the state of Louisiana, bro.
This bag is too heavy.
I mean,
Kylan,
that'd be bad, bro.
I mean, we ain't got $3 million. We ain't got 10. We ain't got none of that.
You see that right there? They're paying a lot of money to watch you play.
Hey.
I mean, that's the move, right? I hate to go back down the old A&M's paying players, but this was thing. Colin was pretty much 98%.
Oh, he's Danny Lewis.
Yeah, everybody had crystal balls in for him to go to LSU, and now it's never good news when you're pushing the commitment back. As Frank says, you always have got to pray about it. You lost him.
Absolutely. Doesn't answer the text. Call you later.
Hit you back in a week.
Let you know tomorrow.
Yeah.
Forget it, boys. We're done.
Let's move on. Down the board we go.
Cordell Music asking for an update on Besh. I have not got one yet. We'll make sure and ask about one today. I'm looking for one on when we get out to the practice field. So we'll be watching out on that.
So they're changing the times every day, right? It's not always at 9:45. Practice.
Yeah, it's different times every
different
day.
times each day.
We have there's a schedule. We have the schedule up there. All right, hit that like button, share button, comment button. Mikey coming up today at 6 to 8 o'clock. Make sure you are subscribed.
This evening, 6 to 8. Paul Skeens.
Nice.
Pitcher. Yes. The
Air Force?
Air Force.
Stud.
So, baseball keeps rolling. We got him on.
Absolutely. Nice. Paul Skeens this afternoon over at Mic'd Up. Make sure you are subscribed to that channel as well. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.